Welcome! Today we're going to talk about a massive update to India's online banking, one that really affects millions of us. For years, there was this hidden security gap that left our money transfers kind of vulnerable. So we're going to break down how it got fixed and, more importantly, what you need to know to keep your money safe.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a question for you. When you're sending money online and you carefully type in the person's name and their account number, you naturally assume the bank is checking both, right? I mean, it seems like the most obvious thing in the world. But what if I told you that for the last 14 years, that's not what was happening at all?
And that brings us right to our first section, this hidden gap in our payment system. For more than a decade, the answer to that question was a pretty shocking no. And it was all because of a 14-year-old rule that carried some very real and, for most of us, completely unseen risks.
So why on earth was this the rule in the first place? Well, back in 2010, the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI, had a pretty good reason. They wanted to make electronic transfers like RTGS and NEFT way faster. They figured, names can be misspelled, there are different ways to write them, and that could cause delays. So to make the system more efficient, they told banks, just focus on the account number. That's it.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly, doesn't it? On the left, you've got what we all thought was happening, your bank checking both the name and the account number. But on the right, well, that was the reality for 14 years. The bank only checked the account number. The name you typed in, it was basically just for show, completely ignored by the system. And that created this huge vulnerability that most of us had no idea even existed.
So when you have a system that's built on our trust but has a secret loophole, you just know that sooner or later someone's going to figure out how to exploit it. And oh boy, did they. This brings us to our next section, how this gap became an absolute goldmine for scammers.
It was a pretty slick operation, really. Here's how the scam worked, step by step. First, a scammer would pretend to be a company or an official you trust. Then, they'd create this fake sense of urgency to pressure you into making a payment right away. And here's the kicker. They'd give you a familiar name, like a company you know, but pair it with their own bank account number. Since the system only cared about the number, your money went straight to the fraudster.
And that's the really clever part of the scam, It wasn't just a technical trick, it was a psychological one. As the person sending the money, you'd see that familiar name on your screen and think, okay, great, everything looks right. It gave you this total false sense of security, making you feel confident hitting that send button, with no idea the system wasn't even checking the name. It just made the scam so incredibly effective.
So if this was going on for 14 long years, you have to ask, what finally changed? What was the tipping point? Well, this is where the story gets really interesting. It was a perfect storm of two powerful forces coming together, a huge surge in public awareness and some really decisive legal action. This is really the heart of how the whole system was forced to change. And this timeline, wow, it tells the whole story. The rule is in place for years and years, and nothing happens. Then things start moving, and they move fast. In October 2024, the YouTube channel Defense Against Dark Acts puts out a video explaining the scam. It goes viral. People start talking. Then just 2 months later, in a major fraud case, the Delhi High Court steps in and directs the RBI to close this loophole. A 14-year-old problem was suddenly on a fast track to being solved with a hard deadline of April 2025.
And all that pressure led to what we're talking about next, the solution. A brand new security mandate. This is the fix we were all waiting for, and it's called the Beneficiary Lookup Facility.
So what exactly is this thing? Well, it's a new feature that's now mandatory for banks. It's actually pretty simple, but it's a total game changer. Before you finalize a transfer, the system takes the account number you put in and shows you the actual registered name of the person who owns that account. This lets you double-check that the name is correct before a single rupee leaves your account.
The new process really puts you back in the driver's seat. It's simple and it's powerful. After you type in all the details, the bank's system goes and fetches the real account holder's name and shows it to you. This creates a super important moment for you to ask, does this name match who I think I'm paying? If it does, great, you proceed. If it doesn't, you stop. It puts the power right back in your hands.
Okay, so that's the backstory. This is a fantastic change, but let's get practical. What does this actually mean for you when you open up your banking app to send some money? Let's talk about how you can use this new power to protect yourself.
Now, here's a super important heads up. This feature isn't going to look exactly the same in every single banking app. For some banks, the name might just pop up automatically as soon as you type in the account number. For others, you might have to look for a little button that says something like Verify or Fetch Name and click it. The key thing is to know that it's there and to actively look for it.
So here's your new financial safety checklist. Think of these as your new golden rules for online transfers. First, make it a habit to always use this name verification feature, every single time. Second, if the name the bank shows you doesn't match who you think you're paying, just stop. Do not proceed. Reconfirm the details with the person directly. And finally, please share this information. The more people who know about this, the safer we all are.
You know, when you take a step back, this whole thing is actually a really great story. It's bigger than just a single security feature. It shows that India's digital financial world is constantly learning and evolving. And what's really cool is that this change didn't just come from the top down. It was a true collective effort from citizens who raised their voices, a judiciary that listened, and regulators who took action.
And that really brings us to this final thought, which I think sums it all up perfectly. It's a journey, right? As our world gets more and more digital, every little improvement counts, and every single safeguard matters. This new feature is a huge step in the right direction, and it proves that keeping our systems secure is a responsibility we all share.